Hello, good morning from Trieste. At least it's a morning here in Italy. We are in Trieste in our, let's say, TV show here at the third floor of Yacht Club Adriaco. I am Andrea Falcon.
Mauro Melandri.
Mauro Melandri. So, before introducing the two persons that maybe most of you have already recognized, what makes big a sailing event or a sport general event? If champions are there doing something else, sailing or coaching, doesn't matter, then an event it's big. We have first class world champion David Ullman and Vince Brune. Hello, good morning, thank you for being here. They are really world champion, Olympic classes world champion, and Melges 24. So David Ullman, you were Melges 24 world champion in 2007.
Yes.
Vince Brune, you were world champion in the very first two world champions of the class. How does it feel to be still here? This is the 26th edition. So congratulations, first of all, for being here. How does it feel?
Well, I was involved with the class from the very beginning. I was good friends with Buddy Melges, and I knew about developing this new boat, and which was very exciting. Was very incredibly modern, way ahead of time, and so being part of the beginning of the class, it kind of makes you come over here and kind of bring a lot of great memories of efforts and regattas that you participated. Won some, lost some, but just the camaraderie has always been one of the best things you can get out of sailing. So I'm sure Dave will share.
I have to agree. I was lucky enough to have boat number 3. So from the very, very beginning of the class, it's amazing how this boat still is the best small keel boat in existence. It's stood the test of time, and it has some of the best sailors in the world, as this regatta shows. Some people have come from kind of out of the woodwork and are really, really good. And it's had probably the best sailing and the best sailors through, 40 years now.
Vince, we were stating that you were the winner of the first two editions of the Worlds. Your best memory in the Melges 24 class is linked to one of these two successes, or you have other memories that you want to tell us?
Well, I think it's like if you look back, or if you look what we're doing now, like the late main jibe, which is something which is done in everything, in all the boats. You look at TP52s, any class, they use the late main jibe, which is basically the main comes across the boat after the kite is turned around. And that thing was basically started with the Melges 24. So all these little things that we kind of learned, it was a perfect platform for people to develop new techniques, how to kind of improve the performance of the boat. And the Melges 24 was kind of like in front of everybody else on that.
So it's no secret that you are almost 80 years old, right? So congratulations. I mean,
That's a good thing.
come on, you're not ladies, so
no.
we can talk about
We can
the
talk
age.
age, yeah.
So
I'm 78.
He's just a child.
Yeah.
No, but there's an admiration from me because I hope at your age to be still my job, Mauro's job is being journalists, photographers, and whatever. And I really hope that when I will be 80, I will still have the passion more than the physical attitude, more the passion, because everything comes from there, to go out on the water and still talk about this beautiful sport. So my question in the end is, how does it feel to sit on the bench, let's say, to sit on the rib, to be coach instead of being sailors? Is still that a lot of passion, and there is again a lot of competition also playing that role?
I think more so. I think that it's a harder role than sailing. Makes me more nervous coaching than driving. And for both of us, it's accumulation of a lot of years of doing this. And if we can impart that knowledge in the people we coach, and we both coach a lot of different classes, and you can bring the same experience class to class. But I think in a way it's almost more rewarding than sailing.
Vince, do you like coaching?
Well, so all the years that Dave and I spent sailmaking, we basically we kind of learn about how to set up the sails. We learn how to build the sails, and we learn how to set up as best we can. We're very curious about that, and I think Dave shared the same kind of opinion on that too. Is that the passion is not just the sailing itself, it's just like how to set up the boat and how to do the little details that goes into that, and that kind of is very intriguing, and it's very rewarding when you kind of achieve something out of that.
So you are telling us that you are still learning something when you're doing coaching.
Absolutely,
Every day.
absolutely.
Every single day you learn something. You come away with something, some small tidbit. And
I have my old boss, Lower North, the North Sales, started North Sales, and he told me one time, right early days when I started working on North Sales, he said, the day you stop enjoying, you stop learning, you basically stop because you just no longer.
In your long career as sailors, sailmakers, coaches, had you ever come before to sail in Trieste? Did you know Trieste as a race course or
I never been here before.
never here before?
No.
I've been here a fair amount. We had an Ullman sales loft here for years, and I came, not regularly, but I came up, in
So-
periods. Yeah.
So just to tell also where we are, I mean, you are coaches of two boats that are on the podium at the moment in the professional standing. David Ullman is coaching Sentinel, that is provisionally in the first position, and Vince Bruni is coaching Dark Horse, that is in third position, but just 1 point behind. It is a very tough world championship because here the wind blows at 30 knots or nothing.
Yeah.
So anyway, let's say, how do you like not only the race course, let's say Trieste in general, the race course close to the city? I mean, do you like to be here for sailing and also not sailing?
That's
On the spot.
quite a difficult question. So I like the challenge. I think is with any race course, sometimes every race course around the world is a little different. Like I had a good example, places like in California where we kind of live, Long Beach is pretty straightforward. You go San Diego a little bit too. You go right, and it's a boat speed contest. Over here is a combination of boat speed and plus you have tactically, it's very difficult conditions. And so I think it's measuring many different factors there, so it's a pretty challenged place to sail. But that doesn't mean is good or bad. It's just challenging and demand a lot from the crew, not just again boat speed, because I always talk with when I meeting with my crew is just like positioning on the race course, how important that is versus boat speed sometimes, so that's my take. And I think like any place else, you have to kind of pick what are the things that are going to reward you the most, and so Trieste is again pretty challenging place to sail.
Yeah, it's a place where a coach makes a big difference. Eyes out of the boat is very, very helpful here. So far, the two of us are doing our jobs. We've got a long way to go.
Yeah.
But you get a place that's difficult, and coaching can really help.
In fact, I was thinking, can I ask this thing or not? But you opened the argument to me. I wanted to say, don't be shy. I mean, it's maybe not a coincidence that two of the first three boats are coached by you, or let's say are coached in general. It's not a coincidence then.
No, absolutely not. No, coaching is a valuable part of the sport at this level.
Although I learned from the skipper briefing, you cannot have contact with the teams. They're very strict on the coaching rules here, right? So it's
Very
also
strict, yeah.
so you have to prepare everything before and during the debrief. On the water, there isn't much that you can do, right?
No, you can just yell at yourself.
Okay, eat.
you
You
can
can
eat,
eat.
and you can yell at yourself. No, but the mornings and the debriefings have real value.
Guys, going inside of the first race, it has been an epic race with strong wind. Have you ever seen something like this with man overboard, 3 boats without the mast, 1 helm lost, some difficult condition on race 1?
The Worlds I won in Santa Cruz, the last race, there was, I can't even remember how many, but more than 1 handful, maybe 2 handfuls of boats that finished without rigs. So maybe another 5 knots more than this in open water. So it's tricky here, but there's places that blow harder.
And big seas too, right?
Big seas,
Yeah.
really big seas.
And so let's say there are the Olympic classes that we still consider the pinnacle of this sport, of course, a lot of respect. I mean, then how do you place? We have in the world of sailing, we have America's Cup, Olympic classes. Where do you place a class like Melges 1024 for the competition technically? Where do
want
you
that
place it?
Well, I think that the sport is as divided as I ever seen. You know, growing up, my days, young days, I used to sail snipe because everybody where I grew up had sailed snipes, and then we had the laser, which was a pretty successful class, and my generation kind of went into the laser, and now I see a lot of diversity there in terms of like too many options, and you have some of the classes kind of basically divide the audience to a smaller to more classes, and I think the Melges 24 always going to have a good audience just because the quality of the boat is you don't have like some of these older boats which you have the spinnaker pole. You have to drive the spinnaker pole. As an example is the Etchels. So makes it a little harder. The Melges 24 for an average person to sail to me is a lot easier boat to sail, and it's a very fast, very high performance. So I think the Melges 24 always going to have a little spot there for.
Something I've always been very curious, because I was working for a sailing magazine in Italy. We did the cover page of the Melges 24. You mentioned it before. You followed the process, the creation with Buddy Melges and everything. It was the first model of the boat arrived in Italy in 1993. So the idea started at the America's Cup. We all know the story. Yeah. It was a very new boat with a carbon mast. It was very new for 1992.
Right.
Now, when there is a new one design class, the year after we already have a world championship. While the first world championship for the Melges 24 class was sailed in 1998. Isn't it a bit strange? It's a curiosity that I have. How come a so modern boat created in 1992 had the world championship for the first time only 6 years later? It's much different from today.
It was a good thing though, because the class got developed, the rules got, ironed out, and by then it attracted probably the best sailors in the world. So waiting was a good thing. And Vince showed him what to do.
Yeah, no, I agree with. I think it's some of these classes are jumping a little too fast, and they don't last very long.
Exactly. They grow fast and they don't last.
Right.
That's it.
Right.
Yes.
Apart the design of the boat, that is for sure a great success, is an iconic one design. Do you think that also the way that the manage has been, the way that the class has been managed along the years was one of the secret of the success of the Melges 24?
Yeah, probably. It's been pretty strict on the rules. They haven't allowed a lot of changes, which is a good thing. It keeps it one design, and the longer it can do that, There's lots of things you can do to make the boat faster. That's not the goal. The goal is to make the boats all even.
I'm going to ask now two similar questions to you, but different.
Yes.
Similar, but different. I start with David Human, world champion in the 470 class in 1977, 78, and 1980.
Yes.
Being world champion in the 470 class those years was really a big thing. If you were a 470 world champion, maybe you were going to steer an America's Cup boat, for example. Are you still in love with the 470 class? And this is the question: are you happy that the 470 is still an Olympic class?
Absolutely, it's a great boat. It's pretty tight forming for the size of people, which is a philosophy that the Olympic Committee has kept. I'm not sure I agree. There's not a small person's and a big person's downhill skiing. There probably still should be a 3-person big boat, keel boat, and a class for big people. Now that Finn's gone, there isn't. But no, I was very proud of winning 3 worlds, and at that time I was the first person to win 3 worlds, and so it still has a very soft spot in my heart. Absolutely.
So as I said, the question is similar to Vince Brun. He was a world champion with he went to the Olympics with the sailing class, and he also won 3 world championships in 78, 81, 83, and you went to the Olympics in 76 and 80, something that you could not do to go to the Olympics in 80 because
80
US
didn't
didn't
work
go.
out. Yeah, exactly.
Didn't go to Montreal to play the Olympics, so maybe you're a bit you regret a little bit that. I don't know. I don't want to go into politics now between
No.
US and Russia.
Yeah, exactly. But
Stay away from
That's
that.
the-
yeah,
Stay
yeah,
away
we'll
from
stay for
that,
that one.
especially today.
sometimes there's breaks and sometimes there's not.
Okay,
You
and
get over it.
And you also won a world champion with the Star in '86. So the question is, are you sad that those 2 classes, sailing maybe yes, but especially the Star, it's not at the Olympic Games anymore?
Yeah, as Dave mentioned before, I think is the Olympic Committee is missing a little bit, because having a full representation of the sport on the Olympics, to me, is pretty important. We used to have a match racing, right? I think Dave's comments on having a keel boat, ocean racer, like some people suggest having the double-handed and have a long distance race and stuff like that would be a better representation, because there's a lot of this kind of racing in the world right now, and a lot of keel boats, and there's no keel boats right now in the Olympics. So I think I have nothing against kiteboarding and all these other disciplines, but I think we're missing the representation that we used to have in the Olympics.
So Mauro, we have also other guests waiting for us.
The last question.
Exactly.
On today.
Exactly. I wanted to bring you from the past to what's happening today. Exactly.
So, guys, first question, really, really fast one. What about Vacaros in this kind of one design fleets?
Well, I'm gonna be the chair for the Etchells Worlds in San Diego in 2026, in May 10th, 2026, and the class approved the Vacaros, and I think that's a good way going forward. If the Vacaros is the only option, I'm not so sure. I'm not endorsing anybody. I'm just saying the concept to have the race committee have a machine that controls who start early, who start behind. It's a good example of what happened yesterday. So we be able to have the races on time, and people get back to the shore on time, and so I think that's a no-brainer going forward.
And he's soft about it. I would say that a major class having a world championship can't do it without some form of starting technique. And right now it's Vacaros. Who knows what it'll be in the future.
Yeah.
But something like that should be mandatory for a world championship in a one design class.
So thank you very much, David Ullman and Vince Bruno. At the moment, I think that you can enjoy the coffee at the bar here at Yacht Club Adriaco. I don't know how many coffees have you already taken this morning. So stay calm, stay quiet, be patient, and let's hope that we will see some sailing today. I think that behind behind the curtains, there are maybe at this very moment some decision to take for the format of the event. Who knows? And let's hope to see you on the water today.
So I have a question for you guys. So is that true that you can't drink a cappuccino after morning?
Not after lunch.
After lunch.
After lunch.
After lunch,
Okay.
no cappuccino.
Okay, then.
Okay.
I will tell you one story then. I live in Rome. In Rome, there are a lot of tourists. A very good friend of mine, he owns a restaurant. This restaurant, it's close, it's really in the center, and it's close to FAO, which is a United Nations organization. So you have a lot of foreign people going there to eat. And I see a lot of people having cappuccino after lunch. And after 30 years, my friend still goes back to the kitchen and say, okay, a cappuccino. He still cannot believe that.
Perfect.
Okay, perfect.
There you go.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you
Thank you
very
very
much.
much.
Thank you, guys. Thank you. Thank you, David. So, guys, we are here back at the Yacht Club Adriaco. This is the day 4 of the Melges 24 World Championship 2025. We had a big guest, and now we have another big guest, a big guy sailing in the Melges 24 class from years. Andrea,
Yes.
we are here with Nigel. Yeah, Nigel, you are sailing on Altea, Italy 722, the boat of Andrea Racchelli, former world champion of the Melges 24 class, but let's go to talk about you because you are sailing in the Melges 24 class, if I'm not wrong, starting from 1993.
Well, almost. Yeah, 94 I started. It's very interesting listening because I had the pleasure of sitting in there listening to Vince and Dave, two legends in our sport of sailing, not just Melges 24s, but. And Vince touched on something. I remember when the Melges 24 first arrived in Europe, which was 94, and it was like a spaceship had landed. You know, it was such a different boat. We'd not seen anything like it. I think I'm right in saying it was the first asymmetric keelboat, fast planing boat. And when the first time we sailed it, we didn't know what we were doing. Honestly, we had no idea. And we couldn't jibe, we couldn't tack, it was weird, but it was the start of something really special. And I've been sailing it ever since. Some small breaks, but mostly. non-stop.
Let's talk a little bit in a few seconds about the history, how it grew up the class here in Europe, and what do you remember about the key factor of the success of the Melges 24?
I mean, it was it's some of the best sailing I've ever done in my career. I've been sailing since I was a child. My father was a boat builder, so it's in our DNA. But I think the thing about it was so advanced for its time, and nobody knew what to do. So it was a massive learning experience for everybody, and it just caught the imagination of all the top sailors, and very quickly. I mean, it started in the UK. I was working as a sailmaker for Diamond Sails in the UK when the boat landed, and British Aerospace were building the boats, and they had quite a good vision. They basically built 10 boats, and they lent those boats out to 10 of the top sailors in the country. And some of the sailmakers were given a boat, and we were lucky enough to be given a boat for a winter series. And we started, and we were racing against Laurie Smith and John Merrick, Ian Walker, some of the big guns of sailing. And
Laurie Smith for me was a hero. Laurie Smith,
for sure. And Laurie,
a rock star looking.
Yeah.
He was similar to Keith Richards from Rolling Stones.
Exactly, or Mick Jagger even.
Yeah.
But no, Laurie's still winning today.
Yeah,
He's racing the Dragon class and the Etchells at a very, very high level. But to go back to your question, I think that the boat just caught the imagination of everybody. It was something new. It's something we hadn't seen. And very quickly so it started in the UK, and that class built really quickly. We had a sponsor. We had British Aerospace as the builder, so there was quite a lot of money, and that helped. And Glenfiddich, the whiskey company, were a sponsor very quickly. And so the regattas were good from the start. There was always a good after party. There was always good organisation. And then I think one of the biggest things for the class was when the French Federation adopted the 24, and it absolutely exploded in France. And we would just go to a regular open meeting, like the acts we have nowadays. We go to a regular open meeting in France, and there'd be 60 or 70 boats. And as a sailmaker, so I've been a sailmaker all my life. I've sailed the Melges a long time, but I've been a sailmaker even longer. And when in those early years, I guess that was sort of, it was around the World's time, the 98 Worlds, when Vince came over. There were probably 30 sailmakers operating in the class, and everything was different. There was the Allman approach was with the Dacron mainsail and the laminate jib. North sails were onto laminate sails all around, and then some of the French companies were trying all sorts of different things. And when we went to France, a little bit like you guys are doing today, not with the live streaming, obviously, because that wasn't invented back then, but they had the French TV there, they had helicopters, and all the big French stars. I remember Luc Perron was sailing, and some of the other big multi-hull guys were brought into the class, and it was unbelievable. We had the Snim Regatta at Easter in Marseille. We had 2001, 2 and 3. We had over 80 boats for that at the Easter Open meeting.
We are returning at the time of Sebastian Coe, that was the winner. I have just a question before to have some question from Andrea Falcon. Why do you think that now in French we have no more Melges 24 sailing?
I think it's because it's no longer supported by the French Federation. And I don't know why that changed, but the one design classes in France, I'm not an expert on French sailing, but my understanding is if a class is supported by the French Sailing Federation, the yacht clubs all get behind it, and it will grow. It will just happen. And we had, I don't know how many years, but we had a lot of years with the French fleet, very, very strong. Yeah. And maybe it was cost, because the Melges is not the cheapest boat to race. Maybe it was that, and they decided that, for their school sailing and universities and things like that, the boat was just too expensive. And then I think they went for the J80 next.
Yeah.
I think that's what happened. And then we saw a big decline, but fortunately then Italy joined in, and the numbers got strong here. So.
In fact, Nigel, my question is similar to the one of Mauro. This is the 26th edition here in Trieste, organized by Yacht Club Adriaco, and you can see the statistics. We have 10 times world champion was a crew from United States, 9 times was a crew from Italy, so we are already 19. Then there is one that it's USA with Ireland in 2016.
right. Yeah.
Then we have two not Italian because they went to Switzerland with
with
Flavio
Flavio,
Favini,
yeah.
Tiziano Nava, Stefano Rizzi, and all those guys. So let's say it was Italian. We have an Australian who won, but Luna Rossa was the team.
Yes,
So,
yes.
and then we have one victory from Switzerland and one victory from France. He mentioned that 2004 Sebastian Coe, and then in 2015 Christopher Russ. So it's like it's a big derby between United States and Italy. Why is that?
I mean, the Americans have always been strong in the class, obviously,
course.
because it was born there and got a big following because of the whole Melges family, and I mean, I was actually in the factory there.
Sorry to interrupt you. The last 3 world titles, in fact, were won by team from the United States.
Yeah, no, they're on a roll. So
Okay, exactly.
somebody needs to try and stop that, but I'm not sure if that's going to be possible by the look of things. But no, I was going to say I was in the factory with Harry Melges in Zenda recently, and the passion they have for the sport is still alive. And when you speak to Harry now, and obviously there's the legacy of his father, and all the team at Melges Boatworks, you know, they look at sailing as an industry on one hand, but they want to create classes and keep people sailing and make the sport actually available to a larger audience. And you see that now with the new classes that they're doing. But to go back, I think like it developed in the States. We had Vince and Dave Allman doing their thing in the early days. When the Italians got involved, it sort of lifted the level a little bit more. You know, we had some very, very high level teams straight away, and then the Americans have responded to that, and now we have a super high level competition. It's great to see.
Okay, and then we're talking about helmsmen, not crew members. You're sailing with Andrea Rachelli.
Yes.
That only talking about helmsmen or owners is a world champion sailing here still because he won his world title in 2018.
Yes.
He's also the only world helmsman world champion of the class Melges 24. You are on that boat. Do you feel that as a crew that you have somehow to defend the prestigious Andrea Rachelli or not?
It's an absolute honour for me to sail with these guys. I've sailed against and I've known the team, I think since 2001, a long, long time. And of course we had the tragedy of Enzo being killed earlier in the year, and we was just sat around, because we sail with those guys in other classes. We were sat around the table and they were talking, and who's going to, you know, we need a crew for Enzo, we need to, you know, and all these things. And I was like, okay, me, I'm going to go. And like in my career, I sail, nowadays I run a small sail off for North Sails in Ireland where I live.
Yes.
And I sail professionally with different teams, but with the Altea team, this was an opportunity for me to sail with my friends. And so I'm here purely because I want to sail with those guys. And I wanted to do my 21st World Championship. I wanted to get over the 20 number.
All right,
I've missed the last 2 because my owner has stopped sailing in the class. So it was great. It was a great opportunity, and it's nice to be here.
Let's go back. We've been talking a lot about history. Let's not be nostalgic, because also the present is very important. So Wednesday, we had that exceptional race with several boats, 2 boats dismasting.
Yes. Yes.
We know that you went close to that problem.
We got very close.
In fact, your result as with 2 DNF did not finish in the first 2 races. Tell us something about that, the action, the thrilling on your boat that day.
Yeah, no, I mean it was we had a pretty okay start, and we weren't in the top handful, but I think we were around about 10. And as we turned, we sailed along the spreader leg. It was pretty fresh, you know, it was quite windy, but over the years, we've done so many windy races, it wasn't really anything to be worried about. And literally, as we turned the top mark, there was like somebody had shot you in the ear. The bang was so loud on the boat. and nobody really knew what had happened because the way the backstay splits, there's two fittings on the back of the boat that hold the backstay in place, and one of those just tore straight out the back of the boat. Fortunately, the backstay is when it's windy like that, you shorten the backstay and wrap it around the engine. There's some engine mounts in the back of the boat, and you use that to shorten the backstay. And what that meant for us was that when this fitting came out of the boat, I think the backstay only moved maybe 200 millimeters, something like that. And Andrea's reactions were such that you see in your live stream that we're broaching and lying on our side, and he did that so the spinnaker wouldn't set, because had the spinnaker set, we would have been rig number 4 or 5 or whatever it was. So we were lucky, very lucky.
Very well. No, lucky, but well done.
I mean, Andrea managed that really quickly. He didn't know what had happened, but the bang was so loud it had to be something serious. So yeah, we sort of pressed the stop button at that point.
Nigel, maybe you can explain something else more regarding how it's possible that you are going to this mast with a boat that has the spreader with the angle toward the back if you're going to break the backstay.
It's just the sheer, the spreaders are swept. The mast is not that stiff really, and to control the bend, you have quite a lot of lower tension. You have obviously the upper shrouds, and then you have the lower shrouds going in into the spreaders. So those are quite loaded in a breeze. You have quite a lot of tension to stop the overbend low down. So if the backstay goes, there's obviously all the spinnaker force is on the top of the rig, and then you can get a little bit of inversion. The mast actually bends in the wrong direction, and then that's that.
We were talking the other day with Mauro. That's a good question that he pointed out. How can a crew in a world championship remain focused and keep that fire inside, knowing that the first 2 races did not finish? So it's a huge mountain to climb.
Yeah, it's difficult. Obviously, when it happened, it was pretty windy when we left the race course, and we were repairing the boat back on the shore, and we were hoping that there would just be one race, and then we could still be in the game. But the reality is, we're out of the game now. We can't achieve the goal that we wanted. I mean, I'm not sure with what Andrea's goal was, but we haven't sailed enough. This is only his second regatta this year in the class, so genuinely we haven't sailed enough to think we could win the championship. But with his record, we should be inside the top 10 quite easily, and so it's hard. It's hard. And then we had some hanging around. And yesterday's race, I mean, we didn't get a great result. We finished 22nd, which was disappointing. But for me, the race was right on the limit of whether it should run or not. And I understand the racing committee has shorter races, and they need to get some races in. So if I was the race officer, I probably would have run the race, I'd say. But when your things aren't going quite so well, and what can you do? It's part of the sport. So to go back to the first part of the question, it's very difficult to keep the passion going right now, honestly.
All right.
We're all competitive sailors, and we can't win the championship, so we try to win a race, maybe. We go from there. Yeah.
Okay, Mauro, because I'm checking some news that are coming here. No, so doesn't mean much, but the race committee boat at least went out. It doesn't mean anything. There is no communication. Just to know, we are from above here, from this brilliant terrace working. We can see the Gulf of Trieste. It's just a little news that the race committee it's out there, and we have an AP flag. Assure Mauro, the closing it's for you.
Let me tell you that when you have nothing to tell regarding the last news, also the movements of the race committee boat it's something important,
Yeah.
So Nigel, many thanks to be here with us and to have shared with us your memory regarding the Melges 24 class. I think that you will have also the 22nd, the 23rd, and the 24th. Melges 24 words in your sailing
Maybe
career.
that's got to be the target. Yeah, I hadn't thought about that, but yeah, we have to go for 3 more. Yeah.
Andrea, let's go to close our live stream.
No, we want to thank Nigel Young, and let's see how this World Championship is going to continue and to finish. Have you sailed before in Trieste? Do you like it?
Yes, I had the pleasure of doing one of the acts here. Or maybe it was I don't think it was Italian Championships, but about 2 or 3 years ago.
Okay.
I was here, and I was sailing with two very good local sailors, and we managed to win that competition. So that was good.
Good, good.
So no, I have good memories of here.
So tell everybody that Trieste sometimes it's much better than this week.
Yeah, I mean, it doesn't matter where you go in the world.
This is our
And
sport.
we've been all over the world racing, and
Yes.
sometimes you don't get what's on the brochure.
Yes,
You know, it doesn't
yeah,
always
yeah.
happen.
Okay,
So
okay.
yeah, that's sailing.
All right. Thank you very much, Nigel.
All right, no, thanks guys very much.